I want to start off this moment with two things. First, I want to let y'all look at me, and you're looking at the host of the Lady Nakia Wright show. I'm going to have my own radio show starting every Thursday in April at 8 o'clock p.m.
Chill music.
You want me every Thursday. I'll be every Thursday, but I'll be pulling on y'all for your wisdom and your strength to join me at the table. Come on now.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. You are tuned into the Lady Nakia Wright Show, a life reimagined. Yes. If you haven't done so already, if you haven't texted or called or invited your social media audience, please do so now. I'd like to welcome you. If you're joining via WLVS online, welcome. If you're joining via my social media platforms, welcome. Yes! Woo! We are following Spotlight over the city, and they still in the building. Team Long, yes! Every time I come in the studio and they're closing out their show and they have a guest on the stage, I'm inspired to do that. So today I asked my co-host, I said, Micha, we're going to do that. We're going to get a song together. We're going to go in that stage and we're going to sing. By the mere fact that she didn't respond, I don't think that she was in agreement with me. It's so good to be with you. I missed you last week, but y'all were not without a great show. Didn't Charmonique and Laura just bring it on? Yes! It does absolutely nothing for you to be the only one in your tribe that is a success. Your success is determined by who you handpick to be around you. And everyone around me does the things that I can't do. We're all leaders in our own right. So it is always an honor to share a platform with them dynamic women. Let me tell y'all have not seen the resources they possess as of yet. But I think Shami's going to do another show this month. Y'all stay tuned. Ready. She ripe and ready, y'all. Y'all just not ready for her. Yes. Today we have a dynamic show. April was the beginning of something great. April was the month that I said yes. April was the month that a life reimagined was birthed. It was the month that my husband said yes. Let's start with that, because I do nothing without his approval. And without his love and without his consent, it means nothing if I don't have the backing of the man that I'm in covenant with. So on behalf of the heart that loves you so very much, thank you, baby. We have a great show planned for you tonight. May starts May starts a schedule that I've created when I decided to do the Lady Nakia Wright, a life reimagined. And reimagine basically means I'm living a life that I couldn't even dream. The happiness that I possess now is one that I am so grateful for. So as often as I can, I choose to share my story, because I believe that your story is the only story that you have to tell. And with your story, you become an answer for others. So the Lady Nakia Wright Show, you may not always agree with everything that I say, but it is my hope that my target audience is very mature, and you realize that although we may not agree on everything, our disagreements will not make us enemies. It will make us come together and learn from one another. All I have is my truth, my opinion. I'm unapologetic about it. So I hope that you journey with me, even on the moments you may not agree with everything that I say. I was saying that today, my co-host is a young lady by the name of Micha Woods. I asked her to join me on this journey because, baby, you get raw truth and pure emotion. When I tell you that her truth saved lives, Micha is who she is no matter who is in her audience. And let me tell you something, her story is so powerful, every aspect of it. But tonight we're just pulling on the part that I'm passionate about, and that's marriage. Both of us share the same exact sentiments from 1 Corinthians 16 and 14, love without stopping. and I'm honored to share this platform with her. She'll be on very, very shortly. Before I bring her on, I do want to address what the month of May is. The month of May is Mental Illness Awareness Month. And I want to bring it up every Thursday during the month of May to try with those who I believe is following me on the journey to remove the stigma associated with mental illness. Let me tell you something. You cannot live life trapped inside your own emotions. Mental illness does not look anything like we think that it does. And I am an advocate of reaching for help. Help is needed sometimes to just literally help me unthink what I'm thinking. Help me balance the thoughts that I have, because I know that there's more to life than this, but because life has been traumatic to me, I'm stuck in these 3 inches in between my ears and I can't get out. Mental illness is something that over 60 million people in the United States suffer with. And I am here today that if you feel as if you need help, don't cry, don't suffer in silence, go get help. It is not a negative emotion, or it doesn't make you, everybody say, oh, you crazy if you go see some help. Listen, everybody is crazy. Most of us have managed crazy. But let me tell you something. If you want to live a life that you know that is out there, I just say to you, go get help. It's necessary. It is needed. And look, those that you love, the legacies behind you will be great because you made the choice not to live within your own thoughts that you cannot dissect by yourself. So this month, Mental Awareness Month, check on your strong friends. Check on those that you know who've experienced life tragedies and they may not have recovered fully. Check on them and push them to the greatest days of their life, okay? And post this on your social media pages. I know that I will. Let's make a loud voice to Mental Illness Awareness Month, because we will not lose another person because they can't unthink the thoughts that they thought, and they are a prisoner in their own minds. So let's start a movement, okay? Let's do it. So without further ado, we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, the one and only Micha Woods will be joining me. Before you leave, make sure y'all share this, invite your social media audience. I promise you it's going to be worth the wait. Yes! 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
I want to start off this moment with 2 things. First, I want to let y'all look at me, and you're looking at the host of the Lady Nakia Wright show. I'm going to have my own radio show starting every Thursday in April at 8 o'clock p.m.
Chill music.
You want me every Thursday. I'll be every Thursday, but I'll be pulling on y'all for your wisdom and your strength to join me at the table. Come on now. I want to start off this moment with 2 things. First, I want to let y'all look at me, and you're looking at the host of the Lady Nakia Wright show. I'm going to have my own radio show starting every Thursday in April at 8 o'clock p.m.
Hey, okay, Micha, this mine, this yours. Welcome back, yes! Yes, I'm channeling my inner church mother with this tambourine. I'm trying to tell y'all, yes. I can do it like this when nobody else is around. If there's music and people dancing and I'm dancing at the same time, I need classes, so yes. Welcome. If you're just joining in via WLVS online, thank you so very much. If you're actually, It's listenvisionlive.com. I get that wrong all the time. So if you're joining in via listenvisionlive.com, welcome. If you're joining in via my social media pages, welcome. It is an honor to have you join myself on the Lady Nakia Wright show. And today you have the pleasure, the honor, and the privilege of meeting my co-host who will be with me every first Thursday, the one and only Micha Woods. Yes. I'm excited to have her. Before we begin talking about My Marriage Matters, because that's what we will discuss every first Thursday, we'll be talking about covenant and marriages and everything associated with that. I'd like to highlight one of my very, very good girlfriends. She has a business called Put Your Name on It, and I call her my dream pusher. Everything that I've ever wanted to do or even thought about it, she made it happen for me. Everybody needs a dream pusher in their life. Her name is Lady Dr. Dawn Harvey. She is the type of person, if you want to do a nail polish, if you want to do a shampoo, these lashes I have a whole brand of lashes. Don't they look good, Mickey? Yes. Let me tell you something. Anything that you can dream of, she will bring it to pass for you. You have to go see her. If you're interested in producing a product, if you're interested in developing a program, please reach out to Dr. Dawn Harvey. Her website is www.letsmonetizeit.com. If y'all don't know how to spell monetize, go over to listenvisionlive.com because the flyer is on the screen. In the meantime, just follow my page and I'll post the flyer. But I do call her my dream pusher because she makes anything that you can think of come to pass. All you have to do is tell her, write her a check, and she'll make it happen. Yes. Welcome, Micha.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
Yes. When I think about something that I'm extremely passionate about, and it is marriage.
Me too.
It is, to me, marriage is such an honor. It is such a privilege. And I'm grateful that I got married at 38. Because if I would have gotten married before 38, I'd probably be divorced because I was not that lovable back then. But you,
right person.
the work
I got
of
married at 25 and I wasn't that lovable.
he was patient.
He's very patient.
Yes, that's so good. And I asked her to join me because of her view and her insight when it comes to marriage. She's so sincere. What? Tell us a little bit about your marriage. I'm not going to tell you a story. Tell us a little bit about your marriage,
if you
Micha.
like. This is your show. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, like I mentioned, we've been together. Well, I met him at 18, long time ago. We got married at 25.
Wow.
I'm 45 now, so we just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Come on.
And we had a very small wedding because my view at the time, even being so young, is that I wanted to focus on a big marriage as opposed to a big wedding. Not that there's anything wrong with a big wedding, but for me, I didn't really have a blueprint of what a good marriage looked like. So I knew that we were starting from the beginning. So we had to write our own story. And in order to do that, I kind of had to block the noise out starting pre-wedding.
Yes.
So we started planning this big wedding and decided that we were just going to go away, just the two of us, because there wasn't going to be anybody but the two of us in the marriage.
I echo those exact sentiments.
And that's how we started. And that's how we've lived our life the past 20 years. So far, so good.
That. If you don't know, I am married to one of the greatest men that ever walked this earth, in my opinion. He is a great guy, and he's taught me so much about life. And the one thing that I realized is that marriage takes work. Marriage takes time, and oftentimes people give up before the greatest days of their marriage is ever produced. And I'm grateful for, like I said to her, I'm grateful for the patience of the man that calls me Mrs. Wright, because when you are in covenant with someone and they are patient with you and they're kind and they are forgiving, it creates a great foundation for greatness to grow. When I spoke to Micha about today, I said the thing that I wanted to focus on the most is the importance the importance of the singleness of your covenant. Oftentimes, there's so many voices in your marriage that you don't get to know your husband or your wife for who they are because you have so much noise around you. And I wanted for those that are listening, because I believe that stick-to-itiveness creates greatness. And I believe that together, when you find someone that you agree with just about everything that they say, and they are willing to be an answer even in the days that they are incorrect with how they love, you know, you have to take accountability for your actions. Although I want to believe that I'm perfect, I am not. I do some things sometimes that may not be altogether the right thing to do, but at the moment I believe, I am so right for doing this. And when you look back on it, you be like, oh man, that was not right. But you have to find someone that's willing to admit and take accountability for their not being right, and you take that as a learning experience and you use that to be an answer for someone else. I believe that that's who you are. That's why we're sitting together.
Thank you.
When you think about marriage and you think about the singleness of what marriage means, what do you say to someone who seeks answers? Their husband or wife, they're having a problem within their marriage, and they seek answers from their girlfriend, their best girlfriend, or their mom or their sister to help them through the moment. What advice do you have for someone who handles covenant in that manner?
That's most humans. I think most people do that. They have their circle of trust, or so they think.
Yes.
I think that it's very important for you to know who those people are in your circle, to make sure that it's a safe space for you to be open and vulnerable, because not everyone loves the way that you love.
That's the truth.
So if you share something that upsets you or hurts you or bothers you about your spouse, you need to make sure that your safe space is also a place of unconditional love, and it's non-judgmental.
That's very good.
Because if a friend was to share with me, I think now 40-something-year-old me can receive the information, coach and counsel, and then redirect he or she back to their spouse.
That's
you need to
good.
speak with them first.
That's very good.
If you find that you don't get any resolve, then I think that you can seek counsel in your home-based church. I do not advocate chatting with sisters, brothers, mom or dad, just because that's your person.
Yes.
And your spouse is your person. So they're not going to necessarily see eye to eye, and you don't want to share that information and then become torn.
That's very good.
So I think that if you are lucky enough to find a friend that gives you that safe space, then it's okay. But you need to really make sure that you're sourcing out that right person so that there isn't any controversy or any discord, when it comes down the line. Because if you're mad at your husband today,
Yes.
tomorrow when you love him again,
They still
mad at him.
I agree.
They're not checking.
They're not
They don't want to hear it.
No.
So you need to find that person that's still going to be able to see the good in him.
That's
and I
very
also
good.
say that if you share or you vent, as we call it, make sure you're also sharing the good things. Like, hey, my husband filled up my gas tank today, or he shoveled the snow.
Every time my husband fill up the gas tank, I fall in love with him more and more every time. That is important.
So men, if you're watching, that is the key. Take the car, fill the gas tank up, shovel the snow, cut the grass without us having to ask. It's the little things.
It's
the
details
little
matter
things.
in
Yeah.
love. One thing that the advice that I typically give is I typically do not allow wives to vent to me about their husbands. One thing that I learned, that most times when you're having a difficult moment, you just want to get it off your chest.
Right.
And once you get it off your chest, you feel good. And if you have a girlfriend that you vent to and you get it off your chest, you never have to go back to your husband or your wife and tell them how you feel. And that begins the diminishing of the communication in your covenant. And that's one of the things I recommend. I personally don't recommend you sharing we talked about this earlier. I personally do not recommend that you sharing what goes on in your covenant with anybody, because nobody is married to your husband.
But
nobody is married to you, and you can't tell me what my husband would do because you're not him. The one thing, let me tell you, wives, I'm about to give y'all something that you're going to send me an offering for. The one thing that you do when your husband has got on your last nerve, or he's done something, or wife, vice versa, or wife that's done something that has gotten under your skin and you actually need to recover from, go to God. No man or woman wants you to tell God on them. I'm trying to tell you, honey. That is the best thing ever. And it's the safest place, because God is the only one who can either change your perspective of what you think just happened, because most times it's not what you think it is. He's the one who can change your perspective and or convict your mate if that is necessary. Right. So that's my recommendation. Don't go to a circle of influence when it comes to covenant. Strengthen the things that remain in your covenant. And if you have an issue, I don't recommend talking in anger, because in anger you say things that you don't mean, and the next day that you may regret it. I am a strong advocate for calming down. And when the anger is over, then have a conversation, because love should rule your difficult conversations, not anger.
I agree.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. When I'm mad at my husband, he already know I'm mad at him. I am so corporate America professional. And I share this. I did a book called Inspired by Love, and I shared this in my book. In the chapter of my book, it was a collaborative work. When I'm upset with him and he knows it, I'll be like, hello, sir, how are you today? Is there anything that I could do to help you? How can I make your life better today? Can I assist you? I am so corporate America. That bama know, oh, I did something. She is mad at me.
That's First Lady mad.
Listen. Because listen, my tongue used to be my weapon before I got saved.
Yes.
And because I know that a tongue could break or build another person, I refuse to let the words of my mouth break the person I'm in love with.
Now, I do agree with that. And it took me a long time to, on my journey, to get to that point where I realized that I may be upset or angry about some of the things that he's done, but what is your responsibility in this? Mm-hmm. Not that there's a tit for tat, but sometimes there is a cause and effect. Mm-hmm. Or, as I like to say, for every action, there's a reaction. Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time to get to that point to be able to calm down and channel things first and then release.
How do you calm down, Meek? What's your calm down method?
My playlist.
Yeah.
I also talk to God, but the rest of us, we need some.
Listen,
we need some good music.
I need something to calm this flesh down.
Yes. So I make my playlist, and I have 3 of them. I have an inspirational playlist when I am feeling very grateful and appreciative for my relationship. And then I have my playlist when I feel like I am just really in a place of, I just love this man.
Yes.
And then I have my 3rd playlist.
Bust the windows out. When
I need some Jasmine Sullivan. That's my 3rd playlist. But my go-to song, India Arie, He Heals Me.
Yes.
When you listen to those words, and it's like, yes, this absolutely describes the man that I married.
Yes.
When she says he knows me.
He knows me. I love that song.
He understands me. He does not hurt me. He knows the real me, the real me. Ooh, she's a drama queen.
Yes.
And he still loves me.
Listen.
Yes.
Aren't we all? Y'all pray for Dr. Wright and Mr. Woods, honey. They need prayer dealing with us. I promise we worth it. But listen, y'all keep them lifted in prayer.
Yes.
What is, I know for me, I am intentional about how I love my husband. Mm-hmm. Even in my mistakes, I believe that recovery from the mistakes or bad days is what makes your marriage stronger or weaker. When you look at covenant, what is the thing that you believe? For me, I believe is effective communication. What are some of the things that you think makes covenant strong?
I definitely agree with the effective communication. Some say that I over communicate, but that's okay. because you have all of the information and it's up to you to decide what you would like to do with it. But outside of the communication, I think that what I've learned in my 20 years is that sometimes you have to humble yourself and be the first to apologize.
Yes.
Whew. Be the first to apologize. That's a big one.
Yes.
That's a big one because it can actually set the tone for the day. And then you kind of realize that whatever the discussion or the argument was about, it's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
It's not that big.
And in marriage, you should never keep score. You often hear wives say, but I'm always the one apologizing.
Yeah.
Happiness doesn't keep score. So
Yeah.
it does not matter if you are the only one. Do whatever it takes to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early on in my marriage, 'cause as I mentioned, I didn't really have a blueprint for what a good marriage looked like.
Is
I mean,
it
both
one?
sets of my grandparents were married, but in our mind, that was back in the day, like where you got married and that was it, you know. So growing up and even with my peer set, I was kind of like, well, what does a good marriage look like? And one of my girlfriends who has been married probably as long as I have, and I like to think that they have a good marriage. Early on in my marriage, she gave me a book called The Power of the Praying Wife.
Yes, that's a great
And
read.
I went to read it with my mind thinking that, yes, I am going to pray all of the crazy out of this man, and he's going to be exactly like how I want him to be.
Yes, Meek.
And in the first chapter, it was talking about changing me and how I think. So I put the book down. I was like, oh, no, this is the wrong book. This cannot be the right book. And it took me about a year or so to go back to it, and I read it from cover to cover, and now I recommend it to everybody.
Yes.
The Power of the Praying Wife, because what it taught me is that you can't change a man. And I also take those principles and apply it to parenting and my friendships. You can't change a person. You can only change the way that you receive them. You can only
Absolutely.
work on you.
That's
That's
it.
all you can worry about. You pray about it and you work on you and let everything else fall where it needs to.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I had to learn. The thing that I had to learn was I had this control issue.
Me too.
And I wanted to control the environment. I wanted to control what happened as a result of it. And it meant being a person of control, man. You're so busy trying to control everything around you that you're not taking accountability and controlling yourself.
Yeah.
And the day that I realized that, I believe the blinders came off and the impossible began to happen. It helped me understand. My husband recommended this book a long time ago for a read for a man. But and when he did a women's conference, it was actually a book he recommended for women, and it's called Wild at Heart. And it's a book because oftentimes women try to emasculate a man. And the book is called Wild at Heart, and it talks about how men have to conquer. They have to go out and feel as if they conquered something and bring it back home to their wife. It's their makeup. It's nothing they can do about it. It's who they are. And we live in a society today where the women want to go out and conquer and bring stuff home. And we've lost the silk and the lace of who we are supposed to, who we were created to be. And no one said that you can't, because in this society, most women are heads of households. But when you find the person that you say I do to, you have to be willing to take off that role and be the woman that God created us to be. And it's not as easy as you want it to be. And the thing that Bishop taught me is that men really only want two things. They want to be understood and they want to be respected. Once you understand, a man feels understood and respected, I don't think that there's not one thing he won't do for the woman he loves.
I agree with that. Respect is big for me in our house.
Yes.
Respect is big. And I think that's one of the things that I like, and I say like a lot. Most people, when they're speaking about their spouse, they say love. I say like a lot because it's a given that I love you. We're married. But to like you means that I respect who you are as a person.
Yes.
Even if he wasn't my husband, even if he wasn't the father of my 3 kids, I would still like this man because I respect him that much. So I definitely agree with Bishop on that one.
I love it. Listen, my husband and I last week we had a minute to get away. I was so grateful for it. And our vacations aren't filled with things. Our vacations are filled with a lot of downtime, quiet time, and relaxation. And the one thing that I said to him is, I am so glad that I like you.
Yeah, yeah.
I could not imagine being on a vacation for 6 days with somebody that you only love because you can love somebody and not like them.
Yeah. And I think people, when they're deciding to get married, they are looking at the surface things. He asked me, so you're not obligated to say yes.
You can say no.
But he asked me, did you see the ring? We're getting married at this place that's so sought after. We have this chef, or I got this dress. And it's like, when all of that's over, what do you have?
Yes.
What do you have? Do you still want this in its pure form? Do you still want whatever it is?
Listen,
whatever it looks like.
The get up in the morning thing is not pretty. So if I can't stand to get up in the morning and look at you, let me tell you something. Nothing else matters. Let me tell you something. It's not as pretty as it is in the movies. I tried that kiss you as soon as you get up in the morning thing. Don't ever do that. That's not as pretty as it is in the movies. I'm trying to tell you.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And I say this, I don't strive to be a wife. I strive to be my husband's best friend.
Yes.
I strive to have moments where our good days outweigh our bad days. I mean, I look forward to coming home. It is a horrible feeling when you are on your way home and it's the last place you want to be. As a wife, I believe that we have the power to set the tone for our home.
For the entire family.
Listen, and you have to be extremely intentional about your attitude and your mood when you walk in the house because you said it. Don't make the environment not a safe place.
Yeah.
Home has to be a safe place for everybody, yourself, your husband, and your kids.
That's our language. That's our language. That is our language. Like, no joke. That's our language. I tell my kids and my husband, this is our safe space. Like, everything else stays outside.
Yeah.
Everything else stays outside, regardless of what the kids are dealing with at school, what he's dealing with in business. This is our safe space.
This is it.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't have much company at my home. I have very
we
little.
don't either.
Yes, sir. I didn't listen. I have very little company because it is the place where I don't want to have to think about some things. It's a place where I don't want to feel guarded, and I don't want all of this stuff residue left behind in my place that's supposed to be my
You have to be careful. Well, I'm very careful and conscious of people's energy, and so that's why I am. You know, when we're having things at our house, I'm like, I need to comb through the guest list and make sure that the energy is going to be
Baby,
good.
let me tell you something.
And I'm the same way with company. I like to make sure that anyone that we allow into our home are people that we are comfortable and safe with being in our lives. Because to me, it's the same thing. It's interchangeable. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I hope that you are getting some jewels and some nuggets because I am truly, truly passionate about marriage. And if you're just joining us, you're tuned into the Lady Nakia Wright Show, A Life Reimagined. Yes. And you're with myself, Lady Nakia Wright, and Micha Woods. We're discussing, we're just having an open dialogue about things that we do because the only story we have is our own story. It is our hope that through our own story, through our own experiences, that we'll provide answers to someone else. So if you're tuning in via social media, type in where you're tuning in from. We would love to know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions, please, by all means, DM me. And on the next Thursday when she's here, we'll answer the questions. If you're tuning in via listenvisionlive.com, I'm going to get that right. Please DM me, send me a message on Lady Nakia Wright if you have any questions or comments. And the next time we have my Marriage Matters session, we'll address the questions or the comments that you sent in. It is a platform that I hope that is extremely engaging. Yeah. I don't only want to provide the information. I want you to ask questions so that in order to be an answer, I have to know what you have, what you're thinking, or what you have questions for. And listen, we don't confess to have all of the answers. Our answers are coming from experience, and this is what worked for us. And through our flaws, because I believe only flawed people know the way out.
Yeah.
Through our flaws, we've learned great lessons, and that is what brings us here today. Yeah, so we talked about how our husbands and their personalities are, and you have to know who it is that you're married to. For those people that I believe that's been married for as long as you've been married, I believe that you are a newlywed, because the person you're married to today is not the same person that you married 20-something years ago. How do you relearn and readjust to the new man that your husband is today?
I think for me, I'm a little bit different because I went into marriage knowing that. Because I say that to people. You're like, when you get married, the person that you're marrying now isn't going to be the same person in 5 years. But one of the tools that I think that works for us is going back to the beginning, to how it was. When we first started dating, we could have done anything in the world that we wanted. We didn't have kids. We didn't have a lot of responsibility. But we chose to do what I consider grassroots dating.
I love that.
We would just drive around in the car listening to music. And you learn a lot about a person by the type of music that they like to listen to.
Let me tell you something.
Find out a lot about the person, like how they think and where their mind is, just by what they vibe to. So we would just ride in the car and talk, listen to music and talk. And that's kind of what we still do. If I find that we're in a space where we're kind of dry because the kids are driving us crazy, or we're driving the kids all around the world, driving ourselves crazy, or work is taking up too much of our time, I say, what are you about to do? Well, I'm going to go with you and just hop in the car and just talk and pull up some music, on my phone, and just pretend that it is what it was, and you kind of get back into your groove. That's what works for us. The dating thing, where most folks are like, oh, well, we do the movies or we do concerts or shows. That's great, I love it. But for us, it's not just us, because to me, I know that's a great date to someone else, but to me, that's not a date. It's a concert. So a date is when you're being intimate,
yes,
and not physically, but you're connecting. And the only way to do that is if you're in a space with just the two of us. And because we have 3 kids, for us, that means in the car, spending time and just doing old school stuff. So
I love that.
That works for us.
Yeah, we don't date like normal people do either. Don't ever take me to the movies, because I'm gonna be asleep. I'm gonna fall asleep in the movie. And we've gone to a few concerts, but
yeah,
I'm up there like, hey, and he's sitting there like. I think our most intimate moments are over food.
Yeah.
I believe that food wakes up. There's a level of comfort that comes with eating. And some of the most difficult conversations my husband and I have been over a meal.
Yeah.
Because your guard is down when you're eating, you're enjoying the moment. And to me, just like you said, that's real intimacy.
Yeah.
You resolve problems. You're reminded of how much you love this person. And look, the fat girl in you is so strong and so happy and so excited at that moment. You're like a sponge. I'm so moldable over a meal. But whatever works for you, no marriage is ever the same.
Right.
And whatever makes your marriage work, it may not make somebody else's marriage work. You have to realize who you are, who your mate is, and love them for who they are and who they are not. I believe that a covenant could and should never be compared to anyone else's.
That is key.
Because the uniqueness of it is what's going to make it last. It's what's going to make it great. It's what's going to make somebody look at you and be like, I wish that my marriage was like that. The uniqueness of your covenant.
I agree with that. That's when I see hashtag relationship goals or hashtag marriage goals. That drives me crazy, because I'm like, be your own relationship goal.
Be your own relationship
goal. Be your own
goal.
relationship goal. Because I've never met a man, like you said, that's like my husband.
Yes.
So your relationship can't be my relationship goals because my husband is my husband. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Let me tell you something. I own all of them.
And as far as I'm concerned,
Me too.
you know, he has just one. There's one of me.
Yep.
But it's not the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's the good, the bad, and the cute.
My sentiments exactly, because, you know, I'm Mrs. Wright. I don't do no wrong. So if something happened, it was all his fault. What you do, baby?
We have that in our bathroom. Over his sink, it says Mr. Wright, and over my sink, it says Mrs. Always Right.
I just drank out of that cup today. My cup on my desk says Mrs. Always Right.
But you're the real Mrs. Always Right.
I'm the real Mrs. Always Right. Even in my wrong, I will own it. The thing that I love about my husband's and I marriage is when you walk with someone who's in, he says this, the fall of his life. I see life so differently through his eyes. And moments matter in our marriage. And I appreciate what it is that he brings to the table. And one of the things that I try to do is always keep our love fresh and alive. So I do things like I'll write notes on the bathroom mirror. You do that? Yes. Yes. I still stand. I do handwritten notes. I do. Typically when my husband is going on a trip that I probably want to go on, but I have to stay home, I'll write a handwritten note in his bag. Hint, hint. That's why you get the handwritten notes in your bag, because I really want to be with you, babe. And I am that corny person where I'll stand in the aisle at the store and I'll read a card.
Me too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And for no reason at all, I'll put a card where I know he'll see it, whether it's by his iPad or on top of his credit card case. I just believe that keep your love fresh.
That is so funny because I really think that's how I got him. Because, you know, back then, there was no texting.
Yes.
And there was no jump on the computer. We were old school, like calling cards on the payphone in the dorm room.
Yes.
And I would physically mail letters and cards to him away at college. And we've just always kept that going.
Yes.
Always kept that going. And I do it for the kids too.
Yes.
And my girlfriends.
That's how I started. Listen, before I even thought about it, doing it with my husband, you are the one who taught me to do it for my daughter and my son.
Yes, I remember we had that conversation.
Let me tell you something. I still do it.
And I do it for my girlfriends too. But the crazy thing is when life takes you, you know, I kind of got away from it because we have email, we have text. And one of my good girlfriends would mail me things out of the blue, and it made me remember how that feels.
Yes.
And I wanted to reciprocate that, so I got back into it. So thank you, Danny, if you're watching.
Yes, Danny. Listen, details matter in
They
love.
do.
And one of the things that I believe that's very important, and I do this all the time with my girls, is handwritten notes. There's something attached to a handwritten note that says, this person took the time out to write me this note. They typically save those and savor them more.
them too.
Yes,
Yes.
this has been great. I have truly enjoyed
I enjoyed myself
sharing
too.
this moment with you. I can't wait. Every first Thursday we're here. We'll be talking about covenant. We'll have topics every week. Listen, it's a community of hope that we want to be. And it's nothing new. It already exists. We're just adding our voice to the mix. We're not why would you recreate something that's already working? Right. We're just adding our voices to the mix, because I truly believe I have a platform called A Woman's Voice Matters. I believe that every voice matters. Every voice is important. Every story is unique. And as often as I can do it, I like to provide a platform where your voice can be heard.
Yes,
people would say,
absolutely.
oh, she all excited because it's just internet radio. It's my story.
Yeah.
Listen, don't ever let anybody ever diminish your shine or your story. You tell it as often as you want and as loud as you want, because it's your story and somebody needs to hear it. I'm excited about it. Mr. Woods, thank you for allowing your wife to join me. I can't wait till we get to meet you too. If there is one thing that you can leave our audience with tonight, what would be your words of wisdom to leave with our viewers?
About marriage or just in general?
Just in general.
regarding marriage, I think we touched on it a little bit. Just make sure that you understand that the person that you're married to is or should be your very best friend.
Yes.
And if they're not, kind of find things that work for you so that you can get to that point, because you share a responsibility and, as I mentioned, a level of intimacy with that person that should be your go-to, because that's your person. So you should own that. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that I think that this is a wonderful idea, because I am an advocate for marriage.
Yes.
Black marriage, old marriage, any marriage. I just think
all
that
marriages matter.
Yes. And I think that it's also important for singles.
Yes.
If you're thinking about getting married, but most importantly, because what tugs at my heartstrings, the young girls.
Yes.
And I think that it's important for young women to identify with adult women that look like them, that have varied stories, but can still celebrate love and say that I'm worthy.
That's good.
So I think that's important.
One thing that we forget is that the Bible says that he that finds a wife, that means that when he finds you, you're already a wife. You don't wait to become a wife when you say I do.
Yeah.
And that's something so very important to remember. Tell us about this t-shirt you have on me.
Yes.
Yes. It's called Wife. Tell us about it.
So for probably about 5 or 6 years now, I've been designing graphic t-shirts for myself, for my girlfriends, for my husbands, and my kids. And so recently I launched my site.
Yes.
So now I sell them.
What's your site, Micha?
It is, thank you, www.cupoftea-shirt.com.
All right, that's easy. www.cupoftea-shirt.com. That is good.
Yes.
Yes.
So I wear my wife's shirt. I have wife. I have, he put a ring on it, Mrs. Personally, that I made for myself over the years, that I always wear when I go out with my husband, so that people know that I'm proud to be his wife. So.
Yeah, I need one of every color and in everything. I love it. Listen, I am an advocate for being loud about your love. I think it is necessary. I think it makes your mate feel great. Marriage is something I'm extremely passionate about, not because I have it all together. I look at marriage as a gift that was offered to me. So I treat it as such. And I believe that it's a fragile gift that needs to be fed every single day.
Absolutely.
So as often as I can, I do share my story. I do share the sentiments of most wives' heart that we want our marriage to work. It's the how do you make greatness happen. And I believe that by us sharing our own story, we answer questions that people sometimes aren't bold enough to ask out loud.
I agree.
On my behalf of myself, Lady Nakia Wright, and my co-host Micha Woods, thank you for joining us on our very first segment of My Marriage Matters. We look forward to seeing you every first Thursday together as we discuss something that's so vital, necessary, and needed in the earth. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Until then, be blessed, and we'll see you at 8 o'clock next week. Yes, behind the scenes with Sharmi. Thank you, Sharmi. And
Sharmi.
Igor. Thank you so much. You guys are great. WLVS family, you are wonderful. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Yes. Woo.